Gentlemen, welcome to a long-awaited Gran Turismo 4 PCSX2 settings tutorial. This is going to be the easiest settings video of all time because unlike the previous tutorial, I'm going to go straight through the settings and I'm not going to ramble because now the setup is so much more simple and there are a lot less variables, so it should be much easier to go through everything. I'm also not going to be providing any installation guides as far as like the texture packs, cheats, or God forbid for the people who actually think that I'm going to break the law for them by providing an ISO download in the description for you. If you came to this video to download Gran Turismo 4 or demand that I provide you with such link to such file, I will instantly ban you for obvious reasons. But if you didn't come here for that, then you're cool. I like you. You should hit that subscriber button because I want you here. And because I make stuff every now and then, so you'll probably like it, right? Now, the way I'm going to be doing this tutorial is I'm just going to show you the settings that I have. So basically, all you got to do is copy everything over, except for the variables that I'm going to discuss as we go along, because those specific settings might be different for everybody. So obviously, that stuff will be important to cover. By the way, for this video, I'm using PCSX2 1.7 Dev 5553, and the settings I am covering are for the Gran Turismo 4 randomizer mod NTSC. However, these settings will work across all NTSC versions. And if you're using the PAL version of the game, you're going to need a deinterlacing patch, which you will find in the description below, and we'll go over a little bit more of that later. So, with all that being said, let's get right into the settings. Alright, well, first things first, I would recommend you come up to Tools and click Show Advanced Settings, and we will go over that right away. So now that we enabled it, let's go to the Advanced tab, and one of the recent changes in PCSX2 is you now no longer need to set your clamping mode to full. In the past, you had to set your clamping mode to full, and I believe your rounding mode to chop/0 in order to fix a few bugs in the game regarding the text. But in recent versions, that has finally been fixed. You can change these back to normal. However, I would highly recommend that you make a backup of your save before you do this, as changing the setting can sometimes ruin saves. And after you do make this change, make sure you save the game a few times just to be safe. But in my case, I've had no issues with it so far. Now we can move over to the Graphics tab, and it is literally going to be the easiest thing ever. All you gotta do is copy what you see on my screen. Just copy every single setting that I have right here, and any variables I will cover as we go along. So the renderer, this is gonna depend on your hardware. I have the NVIDIA RTX 2080 Super. Vulkan is the best renderer for me. If you have an AMD GPU or an Intel GPU, your best renderer might be different. Test out Vulkan, OpenGL, and Direct3D, and choose the best one for you. If you do not have a graphics card, then you're going to need to run in software mode, which if you're running in software mode, it's basically going to be native PS2 resolution, and you're not going to be able to crank up your resolution or anything like that. So for GPU users, pick whichever of these three works the best, and roll with it. We'll move over to the rendering tab. One of the variables here is obviously internal resolution. Pick the one that works best for you. In the past, there used to be a lighting bug with the game where you had to select a specific resolution in order to fix that. But now the lighting bug has been fixed, so you can use any resolution you want as long as your system can run it. Now, I do want to make sure that I cover this one because this is a garbage disgusting setting for this game, and by default, this is set to unscaled. Dithering is such a hideous setting in this game, and I would highly recommend you turn it off, and I will show you why on screen right now. So if you're having the same issues that dithering is giving me, then make sure you turn this thing off. I've had some people badmouth me for turning dithering off and saying, no, you should leave it on unscaled or scaled. And I'm like, no, it looks like shit for Gran Turismo 4. Turn it off. Like, what are you doing, bud? Blending accuracy is one of the things that have also been recently changed. You can now just set it to basic/recommended across all renderers. The reflections are going to look virtually the same, as the recent builds of PCSX2 have fixed this issue. Also double check that your manual hardware fixes are disabled. This will make everything automatic, and you don't have to do any texture offset nonsense anymore. So that is a huge relief. If you're using any of the two texture packs, which is the OG texture pack or the HD HUD texture pack, this is where you will set that up. I will link both texture packs in the description. Just follow those guides. It should not take a video tutorial to go through those. Click on load textures whenever you're done. And like always, these texture packs are personal preference only. It is not required, but if you like them, then you are more than free to use them. Shade boost under post-processing is also another personal preference option that you can set. The settings that I use are brightness 58, contrast 56, and saturation default at 50. You can mess with these and set whatever you like. This is just what I run. OSD, recording, and advanced are all personal preference as well, so we're not going to be covering those. And one last thing before we go, I'm going to quickly cover the controllers tab because ever since the previous tutorial, we now have USB support for QT, which means the QT versions finally have wheel support. It's actually been out for a little over a year now, but I might as well quickly go over it for those of you who don't know, or for those of you who have just watched my previous tutorial. Go to USB port 1, click on wheel device, Driving Force Pro Rev 11.02, configure all your controls. It's like the easiest thing in the world. I shouldn't have to show you on screen. Do not use automatic mapping because it doesn't work for the wheel anyway. Just configure everything manually. And then in your in-game options, go over to steering and set all the settings that you see on screen right now for the best steering feeling in the game. And last but not least, like I said earlier, for NTSC users, in the in-game options, go to screen and set your progressive scan /480p in the video output settings. That way your game doesn't look blurry. For PAL users, this option is not going to exist in your game, so you're going to need the deinterlacing patch, which will be linked in the description. And so, there you have it. I wasn't kidding whenever I said it earlier. This was the absolute easiest Gran Turismo 4 settings guide of all time. And so, there you have it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.